Right, so we're back. We've got Murder House upload. This category is called No Guns, and as the name suggests, we are not allowed to use any guns. In a casual playthrough, you would normally pick up a handgun and or shotgun, but the only defense item we have for this entire run is a fire poker, and let me tell you now, it is not a strong weapon. Helping me with commentary in this run will be Dig.
Yo, I've also felt the pain of the fire poker.
I'm sure you have, yep. So this one acts essentially like any percent glitchless, except we do the prologue. The prologue is riveting gameplay, let's just say that. So the timer will start when the puppet combo name pops up on screen. So I'll try and do my best to count that in. So 3... hang on. I'm gonna wait for the loading screen. 3, 2, 1, go. So Murder House, much like Night Watch, it is another puppet combo game that is faster by using controller. Gotta love it. And for this exact same reason as what Night Watch is faster for, when you interact with like objects that you're picking up or certain drawers and stuff, it prompts you whether you want to open it or not. And on mouse, you get a physical controller, a physical cursor that you would have to drag down and physically click yes. Whereas on controller, it just defaults to yes, and you can just spam the A button. So in the prologue here, there's nothing too crazy to talk about in the prologue. It's just like essentially getting you used to how the game works. You're running around, and it sets up for the main story as well, obviously, prologue, where, so basically, it's set, I think, 3 years before the game takes place, but we're currently playing as Justin, who got a photo with the Easter Bunny, and I guess just passed out in one of those little photo booth things, and wakes up and the mall's shut. And so we're currently just running around trying to find a way to get out of here. It's very spooky, it's very eerie, but essentially it's like, hey, let's find a key and go to a door. So there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of like gameplay in the prologue. I will talk very quickly about the perspective. The game, you can play the game in third person fixed camera, much like Night Watch, or in first person. And for the speedrun, it just seems that the first person mode is a lot easier to deal with in terms of movement, because this game does have tank controls, but when you switch to first person, it's kind of like normal first person controls. It doesn't control exactly the same as what it would in the third person perspective, which makes moving around a hell of a lot easier. But the trade-off for that is you don't have as much awareness as to what's going on around you. So like, there are points where the killer can just kind of pop up behind you and you wouldn't see it coming because of the perspective that you're in. But in the long run, it does make it a lot easier to get around and saves a bit of time because you're not having to do the horrible tank control movement that you would get.
Yeah, can I just say thank God this game has, that he thought to put in FPS mode into this, because
yes.
The same with Dolly. Dolly is not a good control scheme for these games. No. I don't know.
Well, it's one of those things where Dolly is trying to replicate the old like Silent Hill, Resident Evil type thing, which works in a casual setting, but when you're trying to speedrun, and it's much like Night Watch in that you've got very tight corners and stuff, and it can make things really difficult to move around. Now this part, we're coming up to the end of the prologue. Now in a casual playthrough, you run down this hallway until he's called the Easter Ripper, until he pops up, and then you would run around and you would go through some doors, and there's some puzzle solving, and you end up meeting up with Jacksepticeye, and it's this whole thing, but it just takes too long. So what we're going to do is, as soon as we see him, we're just going to head straight for him and let him catch us. It just saves... It's much like how Zom was saying earlier, that you don't need to really do anything with the prologue in Nun Massacre. It's just like wasting time. But it just, for whatever reason, the rules state for no guns that you have to do prologue.
If we headbutt him fast enough, he'll die.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically, hey, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do. To finish the prologue, you have to get caught by the Easter Ripper regardless. It's just how much of the puzzle solving you can get done before he gets you. So in a casual playthrough, you'd do everything and you'd hide under a desk and he would get you. He'd just catch you. That's just how it works. And so that was the prologue, and now we're getting into the main game, which is a bit more of the sort of Resident Evil, our old school Resident Evil style of gameplay. Bit of a banging intro too. All the Papa Combo games seem to have really like banging intros. They do music well, just not levels.
Yeah.
They skipped that part of the university course.
Couldn't figure it out, so they left it as default.
Yeah. What even is volume? So in the main game, we play as Emma, who is an intern. She's interning for a really, I assume, dodgy and just like low budget news crew. Now in the prologue, Justin has infinite stamina. You can just zip around the place and you don't have to worry about it. But we smashed through the dialogue, but Emma actually mentions that she like pulled a hamstring or a tendon or something during some kind of sport practice, and that introduces a stamina mechanic that we need to manage throughout the run. We can't just like gun it the whole time. But there are some strats we can do that will sort of avoid draining stamina too quickly, which we'll explain to you when we get to it. But it's just a little difference between the prologue and the actual main game that they decided to add to it. Because if you've got infinite stamina and you're running from a killer, it kind of makes it too easy, you know?
Makes it too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, present day, 1988. So yeah, it's about 3 years after the events with Justin. And so what's happening is this news crew, this house that they're sort of reporting on is the supposed house of the Easter Ripper, who was like sent to the electric chair after he got caught. And it's like, hey, let's do this whole news report on it. But they find out very quickly that some things are not going well. Just gonna skip through this dialogue. Okay, so our first task is to get into the house, but the doors are locked. So we're going to run around the back of the house, and there's actually a window to allow us to get into the basement. And so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go back upstairs.
Tiny or something.
Yeah, because we're small, because we're a very small teenage girl, and our boss Gary's a bit of a jerk. And you'll find very soon that like Puppet Combo games are very creative with their names.
Yeah.
So there's Gary, and then Gary was in Booty Creek, and then there's I think 3 or 4 games that have Sarah as a name, and yeah, and Jim, yeah. So he's just asked us to grab all the lighting and sound equipment and stuff from the truck, so we're going to do that. This is an instance where
I posted a tweet.
Sorry.
In the chat, it's one of my favorite Puppet Combo related tweets where it's like Puppet Combo games are like your character wears pink socks. Too bad the pink sock murderer is on.
Yeah. That's pretty much
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I'm convinced that's how he comes up with his characters.
Yeah.
So yeah,
so
we're
you
just
got like what is it? You got this game with the Easter Ripper, and then
you got Womb Ripper and Bloodwash. You got
Bloodwash, Womb Ripper. Yeah.
There's the
Sorry, go on.
There's a few more. So yeah, so we've brought all that stuff in, and now they're going to do a little bit of a report. And coming up is this really annoying thing when using controller that if you're using, you got to use the analog stick, the right analog stick for certain things. And if you are not careful, you can get like a bit of a snapback like that, where
there we go.
Yeah, it actually goes, oh, you've put in an extra input and will actually move you back. Can waste a bit of time doing that. So we've picked up a fuse because there's no power.
The snapback happens because when you flick your analog stick to a certain direction, it'll get flung backwards towards center, but it'll just move over to the left. Like if you're flicking it to the right, it'll come back to the left, but sometimes have too much velocity and then be registered as a left input. And the dead zones are not that big. So it registers as left input, which means you do right and then get left again. It's very frustrating.
Yes. Yeah, it can waste a lot of time. I should mention that with the whole like interacting with the like pickups and stuff like that. The difference between using a controller and a mouse is, I think, like 0.6 of a second, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when it's for every item that you're picking up, it actually adds up to quite a bit of time save across the whole run.
Yeah, that's huge.
Okay, so Dana's thirsty. She's asked us to get a drink of water for her. So we're going to go find a cup and fill it up. Now, you see me sort of spamming the sprint button when I'm going up and down stairs, and that is to try and salvage as much stamina as possible when doing things, because if you're just holding it when going up and down the stairs, you drain it very quickly. So it's just trying to sort of get that little tiny bit extra back as I'm moving around.
Yeah, stamina management is huge in this game, because if you run out of stamina, do you like you have to wait a second before you start?
You can still move, but you're walking as slow as possible, so you do have to actually physically stop and let the stamina sort of come back. So at this part, the game is like trying to spice up the news story a bit. So he puts you in the bed sheet and makes you pretend to be a ghost. It's going to tell you to run at a certain point, but we're just going to angle ourselves here, and then at the start of this dialogue box, we're going to run. So
and force them to go on a deadly Easter egg
that's
hunt.
earlier than you're meant to, right?
Yes, it is earlier, yeah. So 2 years is where you can run, but it's at the end of that dialogue box that they expect you to do it. So it saves a couple of seconds.
But I just felt an energy pass by behind me.
Coming up is the worst transition in the game. It's literally facing it's just black screen. So it's kind of like, oh, okay. There we go. It's very hard to...
That wasn't that bad, actually.
That was not bad, yeah. It's pretty hard to time, especially on certain monitors that are like darker. So we got given a key earlier by Dana, so we're now going to try that key on this door that's just here. Cool, decent door. And pick up the flashlight. Now we need to pick up the flashlight in order to spawn the next item, which is in the basement, and that will allow us to progress. It's a crowbar. Sorry.
Stairs, there's a save point mechanic there.
Yes.
But since you're speedrunning, you don't actually ever save the game because
that's
it's
right, yeah.
just too slow.
Yeah.
And that comes up later on because this game, like other Puppet Combo games we've seen, is very finicky, and if you die, then it can be just over for you.
Yeah. So we picked up that crowbar, which spawned after getting the flashlight, and opened up the dryer, which had a doorknob in it, which is for this door here. Sometimes if you go through that door really quickly, you don't get that text box that I got, and it will actually spawn later on in the game. So we just picked up the fire poker. Normally in PB attempts, I would wait until the boss fight to actually equip that, but because it's a marathon type setting, and the Easter Ripper, much like every other Puppet Combo villain, can just spawn and ruin your day. So we're going to be ready.
Meat cleave and mutilator.
As we saw Yep. So we're going to go up here. We're going to let everyone know that someone's trashed our car, so we can't go and get our pizza lunch. And that's going to make Dana very upset, and I don't blame her. So we get this unskippable little report here.
There is a glitch if you're doing glitched categories where you can turn around as soon as you enter this room and then exit before the cutscene starts. I think that skips this entire section.
It does. It allows you to move around while the cutscene's taking place, and there are a couple of times in the run where you can do that. But given that this is technically glitchless rules, we don't get that luxury, so we have to play the game as intended as possible.
So we get to see Dana's beautiful face.
Shoutouts to Dana.
You know what? Shoutouts to Dana. She deserves it.
She does. She works hard. Okay, so we've just held the camera there because Tom went to go to the toilet and he hasn't come back. So after we do that report, Gary's like, find out where Tom is because he's not doing his job. So we're going to go back to the basement. If it hasn't worked out by now, this game is a lot of go upstairs, do thing, go to basement, do thing, go upstairs, do thing, go to basement, and repeat. So Tom's found this key, and he's like, I don't know what to do with it, you take it. And this is where the game becomes a horror game. It becomes scary. Because, much like every other Puppet Combo guy, he can just spawn. So, poor Dana's being chased.
Oh We don't care apparently. Our character is emotionless.
Yeah. F in the chat for Dana. Okay. Now we're going to run up here. And if we get to this door fast enough, we have to get an extra cutscene. And it kind of despawns the Easter Ripper. So if you mess around and then go up here, you don't get this cutscene. She's actually only saying that because we got up there so quick that the Easter Ripper was like, well, I don't know where she went. And just goes away. So we've picked up a letter opener. And we're going to go back down to the basement. And we're going to use that letter opener on a specific drawer.
Because Puppet Combo for better quests.
Yes. How do I make game longer without actual content? Okay, so we're going to use that here. And that's going to give us a magnet, which we're going to use to get another key to go back upstairs with.
Yeah, naturally. Imagine you're in this situation. Why would you pick up that magnet?
That's right, yeah. Hey, hell yeah, this magnet's got to be used for something.
You know there's a hole in the floor.
Well, I guess, I mean, oh yeah, I mean, I can't imagine her being that observant. If it was like real life, you know, but obviously in a game setting, you've seen that hole before because when you play it casually, because you're actually investigating everything. So as you can see, this part here, I'm sort of like managing my stamina as best I can because it's a long sequence where you don't actually get a chance to really stop. Yeah, so we're gonna open this door, and this is my favorite death scene coming up because it's literally a JPEG. Gary gets what he deserves. And also, when the scene starts, if you notice that the Easter Ripper isn't even actually walking, he just kind of slides in, and then it plays the animation. So it's really just goofy animation. I love it. So Gary's dead. We're going to pick up this black light, which is just randomly under a mattress for some reason. Okay, and then we're going to go back up here to where we avoided him last time. Sometimes he can be waiting for us up here. He likes to camp a bit sometimes. Let's switch this out. Okay, and that sort of lights up this area. Now that that's lit up, we can actually move this this set of drawers here and go down using the dumbwaiter to get down into the basement. The basement has like a secret room, which he does unspeakable things, so we're not going to mention that. Okay, then we're going to pick up this rope for later on.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, and then we're going to head back to, this is the main area of the basement.
That door was previously locked, so
It
you
was,
couldn't go
yes.
into it, I think.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you have to lock it from the other side when after you pick up the thing. So we're going to find this tape on the ground now. We're like, oh, better pick that up, because, you know, got to get a VHS tape when there's a killer running around. Now, at this point, the Easter Ripper is actually despawned until after we interacted with this weird spider thing. Okay, and now we're going to investigate these corpses, and they've got eggs in them for some reason. It's part of his little game that he likes to play with his victims. And we're not trying to not walk into a wall.
Because he's the Easter Bunny, you gotta find all the eggs.
Yeah, it's Easter egg hunt. So we're going to put this tape in, and we're going to go, oh, look, we're going to work out that the Easter Ripper has killed Tom. And that's why the tape was where it was, and it sort of gives us a clue as to where we need to go next, essentially. So it's like, you'll see the Easter Ripper come over here, and he'll do something with the piano. And it's like, oh.
Ooh.
What do we do now? Jeez, I wonder what that could be. Okay, and then we're going to use that rope we picked up earlier on this shelf here, and that's going to expose that hole behind it, which will allow us to get into the bathroom, which is actually one of those rooms that is locked, and the only way to unlock it is to get from the inside and unlock it from the inside. And Easter Ripper can spawn in this room, and it's the worst when he does. Okay, we're good. Okay, so that was the real estate agent that was supposed to let us in at the start of the game.
That's why we had to go through the vent.
That's yeah.
We didn't have the key.
Okay.
Playability.
Okay, so if you interact with that too fast, it sometimes doesn't register, but then there are other instances where if you wait too long between playing notes, it doesn't register, so you got to be like pretty spot on with your playing. I did hit a bum note at the start, but because it was a long enough time to reset. So we've put the 4 eggs in there, and that's unlocked the exit. So we're getting to the end game now. So we're going to go back through that dungeon area in the basement.
There was a good chance we would have encountered the
Yes, he can spawn in that section with the piano, and that's a mad run killer. Yeah. So yeah, we've just found this secret passage that's now unlocked, and I'm gonna try and manage my stamina a little bit here because it's a bit gross. Okay, and now we find ourselves in this greenhouse that we would have very easily brushed past when we were running to the window earlier. And so now we're coming up to the final boss. Now there's an interesting mechanic with the fire poker in this, that you can't spam attack. You have to actually drop your aim, because you have to hold aim and then attack. You have to drop your aim and walk back a couple of steps to reset being able to actually swing the fire poker. And we're going to hit him probably a dozen or so times.
This is really tough. It's really precise, and he can screw you over really easily. So this is a major one killer.
He has a very...
We don't have a save here. So
yep.
if he dies, it's over.
He has a very disgusting hitbox. Like that, as we saw. Okay, so time is coming up. That's very close. Time is coming up when the cutscene change.
Yep.
And time.
GG, that was really good.
Oh my god. that was last couple of hits were a bit rough. That was almost GG. Much like most Puppet Combo games, you get 3 hits and then you're dead. So we were very lucky that we didn't get hit that 3rd time. In PB attempts, when you're trying to not play as safe, you would probably intentionally take a couple of hits because it's a bit riskier. But yeah, it could be over very quickly.
I felt that little rush of panic at the end.
My heart's racing at the moment. I was just like, oh my god. So that was Murder House.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna switch to another card, and we're all gonna say a few things. But that's all the games we have for you today. So I'll let Sin take over.
Alright, everybody, welcome back. How is everyone doing? Thank you so much for everyone coming by. Let's let the runners do their outro.
Who's going first?
Plez.
Oh.
Plez can go first, yeah.
Okay, so we are all part of the Indie Horror Speedrun Discord, so go check that out. Go check out GreenGaming Discord. And you can check out my YouTube. It's Pleasantly GG. Just a bunch of speedruns, random stuff, old games, anything you'd like there. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Diggity. I ran Bloodwash. It was really good being on here. I had a really good time. I hope you guys did as well. As Plez said, we're the Indie Horror Speedrun Discord. I might chuck the Discord link in a second here. We just turned a year old, actually. A few days ago is our anniversary. We run much more than Puppet Combo, as Plez said, and hopefully we can showcase more of that stuff in the future. And I think, Zom, you want to talk about the AVP2 thing?
Let's wait on that. Let's wait on that, for sure. Yeah.
Go on.
My name is Dom Slays. I ran Meat Cleaver Mutilator and Nun Massacre. Huge shout out to everybody who came through, showed love tonight. Make sure you join Indie Horror Speedrun Discord. Make sure you join GreenGaming Discord. Make sure you show GreenGaming some love for putting these events on for you guys. They're really supporting a wonderful cause. Make sure you show them some love for real. You can find me on all platforms at Zom Slays. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. Huge shout out to everybody that ran alongside me. You guys did excellent. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm Tim Troghasm. I ran the last 3 games. Yeah, again, as the other boys have said, huge shout out to Green Gaming for letting us do this thing. It's I reached out to them probably a couple of months ago because I'd seen some of their work on it was the last marathon that they did, and I felt it was something that we really wanted to be a part of. And all the boys, you know, we all think that they're great causes that they're running for. So I hope you guys enjoyed everything that we did for you guys today. We thought Puppet Combo was probably the gateway to all the indie nonsense that we like to do in the Discord. Because much like the other boys said, it's a lot more than Puppet Combo. There's lists upon lists of games that we actually run in that Discord. And we hope that Green Gaming will allow us to come back and collaborate with them in the future, because I know I had an absolute blast doing this. If you want to catch more of my stuff on all my platforms, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, it's Tim_Trollgasm. I also recently started using a Twitter, which is the same handle, Tim_Trollgasm. So you'll find me on all of those. I do a lot more than just indie horror games, though. I do a lot of the Resident Evil, Evil Within type speedruns as well. But there is a fair bit of indie stuff in there. But yeah, huge shout out to everyone that came and hung out and goofed off in chat, and the boys for bringing their A games. As you saw with a couple of the runs, the Puppet Combo speedruns can be quite unforgiving. They literally take no prisoners, but they are very fun to run. Yeah, thanks to Sin for hosting this thing too, for doing all the behind the scenes work and running the timer and the transitions and getting the streams to work.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't have been able to do it without Sin, so huge shout out to Sin. I think that's about it from me.
Mild?
Yeah, I didn't run any games tonight. My internet's not capable of even streaming, but I played most of these games and I ran most of them. So
you found most of the glitches you saw.
Mild is an absolute legend. Absolute legend.
Yeah, if there's a game and there's no glitches found at that point in time, I guarantee by the end of that day, Miles will have found at least
one.
That is where I succeed, is in finding the glitches.
Yeah. Also, just being a great person in our community, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this though. It was
awesome.
Thank you again.
It was a lot of fun.
That was so much fun.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
GG's.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely good game to you all. Thank you so much for Tim, first off, reaching out and making this happen, organizing the whole thing. Just as important that you did all the work getting this together as me putting it on. But we would love to see you all come back, or any other indie horror speedrunners come back. We are running a marathon here in October. It's over at the August link. I'll post that again in the chat so that anyone who would like to sign up, please go visit this link and go do that, because we need players, we need people. We can't raise money without you guys running, so please come sign up.
I'm so down.
Well, I gotta submit. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I gotta show off Aliens vs Predator 2.
Ooh, that's an hours of content right there.